How come people travel to Afghanistan and post videos of normal life without recognizing the dire situation created by the Taliban? My name is Anastasia Marushevska, and you're watching How Come? In this series, we conduct in-depth interviews with people from around the world and take a closer look at the stories we find especially important. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. In this episode, we'll look at the growing trend among travel bloggers who visit Taliban-controlled Afghanistan and ask ourselves, when does storytelling become propaganda?
I spent 7 days living with the Taliban to find out if they truly are as dangerous as we've been taught.
When you type Afghanistan into YouTube, beyond the news segments and explainers, you'll find travel bloggers filming the real Afghanistan. And they promise you to reveal shocking truth, normal life, and even the warm hospitality of the Taliban.
That is hospitality to the next level.
And my personal favorite, the Afghanistan they don't want you to see. Who are they? From the context, we understand that they are the mainstream media. But some of these creators have tens of millions of views, reaching more people than many traditional outlets. This particular vlogger made a 3-hour film about his trip to Afghanistan. Dave Maney explains that women covering themselves is the law and tells viewers,
street food vendors, the restaurant owners have nothing to do with their leadership. As I like to say, hate the government as much as you want, but don't punish the people.
The problem is that the Taliban is not the legitimate government. You know, the only one in the world, besides Dave of course, who recognizes them as such, Russia. In many of those videos, bloggers use nostalgic imagery, time travel, Central Asian architecture, bazaars, simplicity, to build a romantic Orientalist lens that turns repression into aesthetic timelessness. Instead of revealing hidden gems, they traffic in centuries-old colonial rhetoric. One blogger even claimed that women are actually out in the street. They have more rights than men.
The Taliban has banned women from speaking to each other. This was posted yesterday, okay, just the day before I got here. Women are actually out in the streets. They're out and about. They've got their kids. They're with their men. There is the whole they don't have rights thing here. We've just learned that they have more rights than men.
This YouTube creator spends time with the Taliban, and his interview with Piers Morgan calls his work journalism.
I will put all biases aside to document the Taliban from a perspective of humanity and earn respect amongst its elders.
Guys, this is insane. I'm surrounded by little kids.
We've all got these guys wrong. They're the nicest people you'll ever meet. They gave me a nice meal.
You know what?
They took me to meet their women in the homes.
You know what,
do you not understand that you've been used here?
In a way, of course, you are used. Yeah, because you have a platform and you have the ability to shift perspective. And that's why we do what we do. Now, you might look at it and you go, okay, you're humanizing and you're glorifying. No, since the beginning of time in media, there have been people that go to places, and now the tide of journalism is changing. Old journalism is no longer a thing. New journalism is going through.
You're not doing journalism, Arab. Do me a bloody favour, mate. You're not doing.
I've been to Haiti.
You're not doing journalism.
Warlords in Haiti.
You're a travel PR for the Taliban.
Cartel. I've been to the top favela leaders.
Whoopie-doo. Whoopie-doo. A journalist goes to Afghanistan, mate, and they report the truth.
He freely travels Afghanistan with a camera, pretending that he knows the truth with a capital T, while the women he talks about cannot do the same. Zala, a housewife in the capital of Afghanistan, Kabul, told Radio Azadi, quote, "Unfortunately, Afghan women are banned from tourism and leisure by the Taliban. We are banned from enjoying the natural beauty and historic places of our ancient homeland." End quote. Numerous human rights and OSINT reports show that since the Taliban takeover, women and girls have been systematically erased from public life. They are banned from education beyond primary school, forbidden to work in many professions, including NGOs and media, barred from parks and gyms, arrested or assaulted for wearing the wrong hijab. If we talk about women being on the street, let's see what Jamila, an Afghan woman and a psychologist, says about this.
در روزهای سخت وقتی قبل از آگوست وقتی از خانه بیرون می شدم اصلا حراس نداشتم، اصلا ترسی نداشتم به اینکه کسی در مورد چادر ما صحبت میکنه، کسی در مورد حجاب ما صحبت میکنه که حجاب ما چرا رنگ سفید است، چرا سرخ است، چرا زرد، یا در مورد از اینکه کسی استادم بکنه بگه میشه موبایل ما چک بکنم که در موبایل تو چی داری، تو کی هستی، تو کجا هستی. اصلا حراس نداشتم. برای من زندگی بعد از آگوست سال قبل زندگی کابوس بوده.
Sami Yousafzai, a veteran Afghan journalist and commentator, told Radio Liberty that the Taliban promotes tourism because it has a major propaganda advantage for its government. Nazifa Hakpal, a British-based Afghan researcher, says that these types of videos distort the truth. Quote, "The truth under the Taliban's cruel rule is dark, bleak, and ugly. Unlike journalists, YouTubers are not bound by impartiality or professional ethics, which makes it easy for the Taliban to manipulate them." End quote. And this is not the first time the Taliban rewired history for their own benefit. In 2001, just before 9/11, they destroyed the giant Buddhas of Bamiyan, two ancient statues carved into cliffs in central Afghanistan. Then Taliban ambassador at large, Syed Rahmatullah Hashemi, said, quote, "Nobody cares about our people who are dying for lack of food and water, but everyone cares about these statues." End quote.
Why they destroyed, what happened to those statues. Back in 2001, the Taliban leader at the time, there's two versions. One, statues, any statues, is a haram, so it's illegal here, so there's a belief that this is why they got destroyed. The second version is the version that he gave, which is basically that back then in 2001, Afghani people were starving, but some people in the government wanted to invest a lot of money to restore these Buddha statues, and he thought that it was insane and they should help the people instead, so decided that, you know what, you're not going to renovate anything because I'm going to blow them up. So yeah, those are the two versions.
But the truth, people did care about the Afghans in need. It was the Taliban that blocked humanitarian aid and executed aid workers.
Funeral services were held Sunday for 34-year-old Gail Williams. She was the aid worker killed by gunmen in Afghanistan last week. Williams was shot Monday as she was walking alone to work in the western part of Kabul.
Two armed men gunned down a young, defenseless girl.
The Taliban portrays themselves as the defenders of Afghan identity, even though the movement was funded by the Pakistani military and Gulf donors, not Afghan tradition. As any oppressive regime, the Taliban coerces media platforms into painting an ideologically useful narrative. A 2008 report from the International Crisis Group described how during the Taliban's de facto rule of Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001, Afghanistan radio continued under the name Radio Voice of Sharia. Presenters were punished if they did not read out Taliban statements in full. Music, except for unaccompanied religious chants, was banned. Television, photography, and even the internet were barred. Later, they also denounced foreign broadcasts as biased and hostile information. Taliban's messaging helps to keep the population scared and to better control them. They speak in terms of faith, order, and masculinity. Some of these messages resonate among the population, especially in rural areas where the problem of restricting rights is still common. Here is what Shafi Karimi, an Afghan journalist now in exile, told us about the realities in some of the rural areas of the country.
Tell me that how many Afghan girls they are going to school in this village. You know, he told me 0. It was not because of the Taliban, because on that time this village was not under the control of the Taliban, because of their families.
Hearing all of this, I couldn't help but ask Shafi, what is the responsibility of men in Afghanistan when women are banned from everything? It was clear that this question is rarely asked. I invite you to listen to the full conversation with Shafi Karimi instead of watching travel bloggers who uncritically reproduce the Taliban's version of reality.